Well, I just came in from my garden. We're going to have a frost tonight, and I decided I better take the rest of what is out there so that I can save it, and I'm going to ferment this tonight. I have a couple other things that I had in my refrigerator, so I'm going to make a mix here from that resembles what I've had in Eastern Europe, where my husband and I were missionaries. Around the Balkans and in the certainly the eastern side of the Mediterranean, they do this fermented mix at the end of the garden season. It's called tortilla or some word of that. So we're making tortilla tonight, and what I have here are peppers and some purple beans from my garden. This is the last of my purple runner beans. Normally they get this long and then they become seed pods, and I save those for my shelling beans. And then I have the variety of green tomatoes, and then the Jerusalem artichokes, the carrots, and the cauliflower I got from a local health food store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few of the green tomatoes in, but something that's important to do with your green tomatoes is they have a thick skin when they're still just really green like this. And by the way, they need to be really firm. If I were to squeeze on that, and I am, there's no give to it. So it has to be a nice firm tomato. But because they're nice and firm, I take a fresh toothpick and I just poke it all the way around so that the brine can get down into the inside of that tomato. Another option is if I've got one that's a little larger, or even I've fermented tomatoes, green tomatoes this large, is you can cut them into halves or quarters or whatever, and you can see that this is just very firm on the inside. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a mix. I'm going to put a few things in, put a few things more. Whoops, we'll put that one in. Put a few of this cauliflower, a few beans, and I've just left my beans whole. I just topped them. And the peppers, I think I'll just sort of cut them into little chunks here up until where I am to the seeds. And then I'm going to cut the seeds out. And then I'll clean that up later. That one's a little bit soft there. This time of the year, it's pretty hard to get your peppers, although I was surprised my one pepper plant was actually still blooming. I'm going to just take half of that pepper. And here we go. Oh, this nice yellow one's going to look very nice. I think I'll cut that smaller so that I can mix it all the way through. And I have that nice color mixed in. And we'll cut the seeds out. Not many seeds in this variety. They're nice and crispy still. They'll be soft as they're fermenting, but they'll sure lend a lot of color to this mix. We used to eat this all through the winter when we lived in Eastern Europe. It was a wonderful way to get some good vitamin C and a variety of vegetables in the winter. We lived there not long after the changes from communism. And those first few years, there was sometimes very little produce available. So having a little bit of fermented vegetables was wonderful. And then that part of the world, you customarily would have fermented vegetables as part of your first course, and especially if you're going to be having any of their fermented beverages like this rakia or other names that we use for hard fermented alcoholic beverages. So there's a little pepper. There's a little spot on that one. I'm cutting that off. I'll put in some yellow pepper here, and then we'll go back and we'll just start all over with a mix. A couple tomatoes, some of our carrots. I just want to have a mixture of color right the way through here. Hopefully I've got enough to fill this whole 2-liter bottle, which I think I will do. And they're not going to be packed in real tight just because they're different sizes of vegetables. All right, starting again with my rotation. Don't want to put that toothpick in there, and I did puncture all of these tomatoes before. These are a variety of tomatoes, some of my little grape tomatoes that were left over, and I had some cherry tomatoes, I had some Italian plum tomatoes that were left, I had some other varieties of heirloom tomatoes. One is a small type of paste tomato. I had Amish paste tomatoes. I had a couple of those larger red slicing tomatoes. So it was just a really nice mix. Okay, starting all over again. Carrots into here. Some more of these. I think I'm going to cut some of these tomatoes in half. They're just a little larger here. There. Slice those through. This nice mix then later on after this is fermented. And I'm going to let this one ferment on the counter about 7 to 10 days. I'm going to put a few more peppers in here, a little mix of color. And right there. So we've got that kind of full. And I'm just going to press that down, get that in there as much as possible. A couple more of these little pieces, and the rest of this will be for salad and steaming vegetables tomorrow. Okay, maybe a few more of these little beans, purple beans. They're fun. I like these beans. They have a great amount of flavor, and that's about it. These vegetables will not expand like cabbage when you're making sauerkraut, or like beets. And believe me, I've had both of those come right up to the very top of the airlock, and even actually brine push up into the airlock. Okay, so I've got those pressed down. I want to get it down to the shoulder, which is about where it is. I've made some 2% brine earlier. Just give this a little stir. There. And I'm just going to pour this to cover the vegetables. And bringing that up, I want to just give a little shake to make sure it's no air pockets left in there. So I've got that covered. Here's my brine bowl. I'm going to just put that in with 2 fingers like that. Press that down so that all those veggies are under. I've already put water into my airlock. And, whoops, runaway tomato. There we are. And I'm just going to latch my lid onto here and lock that down. And there, what a wonderfully colorful mix. That will be ready in about 8 to 10 days, I'm guessing. It's going to sit here on my counter with my small little jar of sauerkraut and my really small jar. This is Jerusalem artichoke and pepper and baby leeks. And I can tell you that is a wonderful mix. And I think this one's going to be just as good in about 10 days. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a hard time choosing which one we're going to have for dinner.